going on, world? It's your boy, Coach CG here, and we're going to do something a little different today. While normally I would do a breakdown of the game to give you my expectations of how the game would flow, today I want to do something just a tad bit different. I was watching some content. I'm going to show you all a brief video of what they were talking about, and then that's when I'm going to go into kind of rebuttaling that video. So without further ado, watch this Cowboys mashing, and I'll be right back with you once the video's over with.
It's not a normal just week, sure. So you've had some extra days and some time, so hopefully that helps him out there. I was waiting on maybe see if George Pickens would show up today, and
we did not get George Pickens.
They told me, they were like,
he's taking his time
next week. Depending on the outcome of the game and his performance in it next week.
I'll give it to Pickens, though. He talked in the locker room after the game. He did. And maybe he didn't want to, but he did. And, he answered to some of those questions, even answered the Richard Sherman question in the locker room.
He didn't exactly own it, though. I mean, Dak keeps saying, I'm sure you guys have talked to him, and he owns it. He hasn't really owned it.
Yeah, he didn't necessarily own it. He did say, though, I didn't play my best game. That's
his version.
That's obvious.
Yeah, for
when
sure.
you have 37 yards receiving, it's obvious you didn't play your best game and you fumbled inside the 10 for the second week in a row.
So you weren't here yesterday, and we discussed. Let's get your take. Ed's take. And you, Nick, JJT, and I looked at it as 17 games. Nobody's going to have a great one. You're not going to play 17 great games. Against Detroit was not a great game, but I'll take what I've gotten from George Pickens all day long, especially considering last year it was seedy in the maybes. And looking at what the Steelers have in terms of what their receiving core is, if this is what it is, I'm fine with it. I'm not up in arms like Mark Schlereth and some other people are about George Pickens in this game and then his indictment on him as a person and character and everything. I just don't feel that way.
Well, I would say that I don't know that it's forgivable to go into a game of that magnitude. You work so hard to create this opportunity for yourself to be playing in a game that has legitimate playoff implications. Like this could determine whether you make the playoffs. And you know that going in. All week long, you've known it. You're just coming off these two big victories over the Eagles and the Chiefs. How can you not play your off on every snap?
I think you can say that word here.
Or most of the snaps. Like that. Yeah. How does that define you as a competitor if you can't get motivated to do your job in that circumstance on every down for your guys?
So, Ed, I counter this. Is he the first guy on the team that's giving you a stinker?
No, the other guy's Trayvon Diggs, and he's not playing.
And, CeeDee Lamb's first game against Philadelphia, here it is.
He dropped the ball. It wasn't because he didn't try or because he half-assed his routes.
He has done that in the past.
What?
Ravens game last year.
I don't think either one of them runs their routes all that well, to be honest with you. Talking to quarterbacks who look at the tape. But, I mean, you should put on the tape in a situation like that. You should see a guy's best on almost every snap.
You're watching your tight end 2 games in a row, turn the ball over. You got Cavante.
Was that too much effort? Not lack of effort. That guy's trying to break 3 tackles. That's how he fumbled. That's also unforgivable. Like, that's a technique thing. And you got to prioritize getting the ball to the ground rather than getting 2 or 3 more yards. But at least the guy's playing hard. That's the difference here. Playing hard.
If we see week 2 and it's not the standard.
Why do you forgive 1 week when it's the biggest game of the year?
Ed, once again, this is just me.
You asked my opinion.
And I love it. I love it. This is why we're doing this show here. I'm looking at it, man, and I just say, okay, this is where.
Yeah, I think the difference is.
Let me just finish right. Yeah. This is where somebody's got to come in here and what Jock talked about, yes, somebody's got to show it to, hey, man, is this you? What's going on here? What is it?
This is the George Pickens that got traded here.
Now that you had a chance to check out that video, before I get started, I have to say I respect what Ed Warder does. I respect his space in media and what he's meant to media, and the fact that he's with the Cowboys and able to give you all his take. Hey, I have to respect what he's done to get where he's at right now, right? And I'm just a guy here giving you all my take of what I see with the Cowboys. So I don't want to diminish what he's done and what he means to sports media as a whole, right? That being said, oftentimes when you have 2 superstars, 2 budding superstars fighting for their position of greatness in their sport on the same team, we often see the media pinpoint faults in one or another, or even sometimes both. I'm reminded of Stephon Marbury and Kevin Garnett. They would have had a crazy career together, but the only way we can even fathom that is to close our eyes and try to envision the career that they would have had, because they allowed the media to get in between both of them, pinning them against each other. They're talking about effort, talking about individual numbers when basketball is a team sport. I'm reminded of a Shaq and Kobe being able to win 3 rings together. You close your eyes, you can only imagine that they would have gotten 5, 6, 7 rings together. But when you have the media pinpoint somebody's effort and ability and somebody else's need of this person, that person, what tends to happen is that it starts to implode from the inside, where they're finding out issues with one another, and they're going against what each other want, right? This is what we have to be careful of as Cowboy fans. You have 2 great wide receivers, and you have people in the media, you have people in the Cowboys media pinpointing them against one another. You have people in the Cowboys media trying to talk down on one wide receiver as a way to say that he's not giving enough effort. He's having the best season of his career as a Cowboy. What are we talking about? In this game, we say that he had a bad game, but when you look at the tape shows the man is being doubled and sometimes even triple teamed, which is allowing CeeDee Lamb to get over 100 yards in one half, which allowed Flo to get over 100 yards in the second half. He did his job by just being him and being on the field. If you got Dak Prescott, who's the number 1 quarterback, which is one of the top tier quarterbacks in the NFL, in my eyes, he's playing like the best quarterback right now. And I've never been a real big Dak fan. I haven't. But this year, he's taken his game to even another level. And when you have a guy who is smart, who's breaking down defenses, the wide receiver already knows they're not going to this side because they're cloud covering him. They're not going to my side. Now, should he run his routes full speed, this, that, and the third? He's always run his routes kind of like to lure the DB to sleep and then has a quick burst and now he's gone from you. That's the way that Pickens runs his routes. He's run them like that since Georgia. But if you don't watch the film, if you don't know what you're looking at, and I'm not trying to summarize that some of these reporters don't know what they're looking at, you won't get that conclusion, right? But you have to look at him on a consistent basis and know that's just how he runs his routes. But that's why he's able to eat the way that he's able to eat. When we talk about effort or we talk about route running, because even later on in the clip that you didn't see, I don't think, but he started to talk about how he don't like how either one of them run their routes. You have the top 2 wide receivers in the NFL against man-to-man coverage. So I don't care what the quarterbacks you watching and breaking the film down says. Go ask the DBs that they're facing and see what they say. In one-on-one coverage, you have George Pickens, who's the number 1 wide receiver. Guess who's the number 2 wide receiver? CeeDee Lamb. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about when we talk about effort? What are we talking about when we break down the numbers and you see how they are balling and playing? You know you have 2 dogs. And the one thing we can't do and the one thing that we can't allow is the media to get in between these 2 dogs. Because at the end of the day, if one is eating, it's because both of them are on the field. And the only time we should have a problem with either one of them is when there's a game and neither one of them eat. But you can't talk about this man's effort. You can't talk about this man's route running. You can't talk about this man's ability when they have 3 people on him and they're allowing a CeeDee Lamb to kill them. Then when they allow a 7th round Flo to go crazy on him and have his second career game over 100 yards. What are we talking about? So on this day, in this game, on this Sunday night game, when you play Flores, he'll be blitzing those hangmen. Hangmen are those outside linebackers, those wide nines, right? Whatever have you. They'll be blitzing them. The slants are going to be wide open, and the top two wide receivers in slants, and running slants, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. George Pickens is going to have a bounce back game, and CeeDee Lamb is going to go crazy. Both of them will have over 150 yards. Both of them will see the paint and get a touchdown. The issue that we have, we honestly have to worry about the defense. 30 points is going to be enough for us. We should see about 34 points, I want to say, maybe even 37 points that we were able to score today if we protect the ball, no turnovers. But on a bounce back game, get right game, and getting back focused, the task is going to be on the defense. I fully expect we win this game regardless. But if we're going to make a run at the playoffs, we have to blow Minnesota out. This game can't be a close game, and they shouldn't be able to score 20 points. We have to keep them under 20 points in order for us to be taken serious. Look, I got passionate about that conversation, and the reason I'm wearing a shiesty is because Brian Schottenheimer put on that shiesty. Dak Prescott put on that shiesty. CeeDee Lamb put on that shiesty. There was only one person that had that shiesty on before everyone else. And a true definition of a leader is having the ability to influence others to do things outside of their norm for the greater good of the whole. And if we're going to call George Pickens out based off of one game out this season, we have to be able to look at the influence that he's been able to have on the Cowboys locker room. And leadership isn't about position, right? Sometimes leadership isn't even about performance. But when you don't have the title and you have the ability to influence others to do what you do, and they just want to be around your energy, that's because you're a good dude. That's because you have high character. And that's because you're a leader. George Pickens is a dog. He doesn't do things the conventional way. He's more so the new age athlete. When we look at athletes being able to clap back on social media, even me as an old head, I might say, whoa, y'all have to do that. But at the end of the day, these new athletes are coming with all the smoke. They want all the smoke, and they're not running from none of the smoke. And that's George Pickens, man. That's George Pickens. And to have that on the Cowboys team, you need those dogs. You need those people that are just a little bit different. Old heads, y'all been warned. NFL young boy George Pickens is here. And he's going to go crazy. And he's going to be a Cowboy for a long time. So just get used to it. You will not on my book, be able to Stephon Marbury and Kevin Garnett this thing. It's not going to happen. Our Cowboys win today. My hopes is the game is 37-18, somewhere around there. Reality of the situation, stop talking about coaching. Stop talking about the standard. And stop talking about having players come into an alignment. When we have people on the coaching staff not meeting those standards, not being adjustable, not being consistent, being stuck in their ways. You want to really show us that you're about your culture. Cool, not playing Trey when he's ready to play. That shows it. Cutting Elam because he's not living up to par. That shows it. But to continue to play Kenneth Murray, that shows an inconsistency in that statement. And it shows a lack of commitment to what you say that you're standing on. To allow Eberflus the ability to continue to put out a defense that is below average and blame it on the players is disingenuous. It's not honest. And it's going against the very culture you say you want to build. Eberflus better come out there on his shiesty time. Eberflus better come out there on his George Pickens energy. If George Pickens and Trey Diggs can't get him energized, if getting him Quentin Williams can't get him energized, then he needs to go. Then he needs to go. So Jerry Jones, it's really on you because you made the hire. That's not Brian Schottenheimer. But for Edgewater and anybody else that got something to say about George Pickens, just watch and see today.